Hey everybody, I'm Andy Smith. I'm a 30-year comic book veteran, having worked for Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Image Comics, Cross Generation, Ominous Press. You name it, I've probably worked for them. And I do other things art-wise outside of comics in the field of advertising. I've also written some books on drawing comics you might have seen. Drawing American manga superheroes, Drawing Dynamic Comics was my first book. And I also did the handy little How to Draw Superhero sketchbook where all you need is a pencil because you do all the work right inside the book. Enough about that. This is the Book Look series. The Book Look series is where I grab a book off my library. You can see the tons of books I have behind me. And I go through it page by page with you so you can see if it's a book that you might want to buy. I like to know what I want to buy before I buy it, and I feel this is a way to give you some insight into these books. So join me for today's book look. Thanks.
Hello everybody, it's Andy Smith with another book look. This week we are looking at Incredible Comics with Tom Nguyen, the ultimate guide to creating kick-ass comic art. Impact Publications put this out. Full disclosure, I've known Tom for 20 years or so. I haven't talked to Tom other than Facebook for a while. I haven't seen him. I tell you, that pandemic really just screwed everything up. Anyhow, because I would always see him at a couple cons throughout the year. Look at this, even signed to me, to my Taco Trio counterpart, Andy. Let's hope for big success for both of our books. I think this book might have came out when my second book, Drawing American Manga Superheroes, came out. Let's see. Copyright on this is 2007. So yeah, so I think so. Tom, if you don't know, he's also a really good photographer, and he photographs models and stuff. So there you go. Let's look at this book. Tom is a inker, mostly. He inked a ton of Doug Mahnke's work over at DC Comics. In fact, look, a foreword by Doug. Obviously friends with Tom Richmond, famous Mad Magazine cartoonist. So yeah, so let's get into this bad boy and see what Tom's teaching us. I pulled this one off. I actually had another book I was going to do today, but in the comments, this one fan was asking if I could review this book specifically next. So I said, you know what? I can jump out of order. And that's why I'm reviewing it, because he might want to buy it. I don't know if this is still available. As I always do, I'll look. If it is still available, I will post the link in the description below of where you can get it. All right, so he talks about obviously what you need. Most how to draw books do that. It's kind of necessary. Pens and brushes, pencils, type of paper, erasers, T-square triangles, all that fun stuff. A lot of people work digitally. The fundamentals of drawing are, doesn't matter if you work traditional or digital, the fundamentals of drawing don't change. The change is you don't need brushes and pens working digitally. So, crash course in drawing. He talks about, excuse me, talks about gesture drawing, goes into the center line of action. You don't want your drawings to be stiff. You know, you can see a nice curve through the drawings and such. You know, unless somebody is in a military standing at attention, straight up and down, kind of like this, you're going to have gesture and flow through the spine and the line of action. You know, a pose like this, that's not even at attention because his arms are crossed. At attention, arms are to the side, legs are together, but that's a power pose. So you can do that because, you know, the thing is when you have a curve, it's not as solid looking compared to just a straight line. Drawing stud muffins and real bad dudes. I love Tom's sense of humor. So here he just goes into body proportion. and such. I believe he's breaking it down into 8 heads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 and change, actually. He's dropping 8 heads. It looks like at the ankle. Tom is also, if you don't know, he was, and he has competed. He was into bodybuilding and stuff. His penciler partner in crime there, Doug Monkey, is a power lifter. But Tom would actually compete in bodybuilding competitions where he would get really shredded and stuff. So no excuse for him not to do good anatomy. Here he's talking about drawing the male head, the different views and such, drawing the ear. This is, I have this in my book. The inner ear might look complicated. It's really not. It's a Y shape. When you break it down from here, it's just this Y shape. Everybody's ear is like that. It's just the proportion of, I guess you could say, this pink part, the Y, that is different. Unless you have a cauliflower ear, of course, from fighting. Goes into the different features of the lips. This is really cool, showing different types of noses and such. Nice little breakdown here of the basic shape of a nose. He has his do's and don'ts on noses. And remember, every rule is made to be broken. Here is some arm stuff. So now he's breaking down individual muscles, which, you know, Tom is very well versed in with his background. So he's breaking down literally all the separate muscle types and the striations and such. Really cool. The one thing I really do like about Doug Monkey's work and Tom's work is, and I don't do this, but both those guys, when they do abs, really actually draw them the way you actually see them on somebody coming down from right below the chest on down. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the way I draw abs, and a lot of guys in the business do, we show, excuse me, we show the rib cage, and then we pull the abs below the rib cage. And what I mean by that is, you can't see it here, but imagine the rib cage that comes down, you know, kind of like the letter A, like that. And then we show the abs. Now, you do see that on bodybuilders and stuff when they're really like sucking in their abs. But when they're not, they do fall like this. This is pretty cool for like measurement stuff. A lot of drawing anatomy comes down to measurements and such. Of course, getting into the back anatomy here. And then brutal legs. Knowing when to stop. So here, this is kind of funny. Like I said, I haven't looked at this book in a long time. Now, this is a don't. He's talking about the rendering. You know, this is kind of imagey, Liefeld type style that he drew here. I don't like hard and fast rules like, don't do this, because, you know, I've seen art like this done really well, and it doesn't bother me. I think when somebody like Tom or myself tries to do something like this, it looks weird because it's not natural to us. Like I said, I would never throw it into just a flat out, don't you do that type scenario. Because this is what Tom naturally does. And you can see this just looks better. Talks about foreshortening, some demonstration stuff here. Obviously, this guy's dead. Imposed. Nope, just kidding. You just don't draw somebody sleeping like that. It's just not natural. You know, we sleep all over the place. Looks like Tom's drawing himself. Oh, then he gets into the ladies and breaks down their proportions, which is good. Same thing, line of action, movement, flow. You know, with women, you want them to be more sensual, more subtle, less detail is more. Once again, he's showing really exaggerated imagey 90s style there compared to, you know, I guess you could say the right way or whatever. Then he goes into the faces and such, and, you know, noses and lips for them. You gotta break it all down. You definitely, it's good to repeat it because men and women are different and you handle them different when you draw them. So going into hair, not as big of a deal for men, but for the ladies, you know, with the longer hair, you want to think of it differently in terms of shape and form and big masses the hair takes up. Drawing the female chest, unless they're totally 100% silicone, boobages and cleavager. The boobages, the female breast, move according to how the woman is moving. Great example here. More demonstration stuff. See, now this is definitely a riff on Michael Turner, and he says, don't, once again, you know, it's cartooning. You can exaggerate stuff. So it really comes down to what the style is you're trying to get across in your artwork. Going into lighting and such. The ultimate in variety. What is this chapter about? Tales of the weird and skinny. So, you know, all us artists do the same things. I mean, my book covers a lot of this, and I think it's good to have, I have a bunch of how to draw books on real life drawing, you know, illustration and cartooning, comics and stuff, because I think it's good to see points of view from different artists. So like I go over head shape and stuff in my book, and Tom's doing it here, but you get a different sense of it from reading how he breaks it down. You know, going back to the ab thing real quick, see here, you can see the dude's rib cage coming down like this, and on this guy, whereas real muscled up dudes, it's more like that. But even on my muscled up guys, I do this, and it just makes sense for me. I've been doing it so long. I've tried doing this, and I don't know, for some reason it just, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. Big guys love this right here. Santa Claus with nipple rings. Okay. Big hyper muscled guys. Here he's talking about veins. You know, for all I know, and I don't know for sure, but this could literally be how the veins actually are. I don't know, but it looks cool. And when it's done right, it just looks good. Drawing kids and teenagers, very tough to do. I'm glad he covered it. That is something I actually did not cover in my book. Because the proportion, as you see, the face changes. Old people as well, something I didn't really go into either. So you're already getting some different stuff here. The eyes have it, talking about facial expressions. Very nice. Great cartoony. Love it. Superhero style. Clothing, wrinkles, very important. You can learn wrinkles from the standpoint of where the body has certain push and pull points that wrinkles will come off of and drop off of for when an arm's moving or a leg or baggy clothing. And you can learn all that stuff, but it's also good to reference from real life as well. And then eventually from doing both, you get them down to what becomes your style. Man, I have not, this is so weird. I have not flipped through this book in probably 7 or 8 years. I forgot how much information Tom really packed into this book. Even talking about accessories like shoes, gloves, hats, and things like that, belts, even glasses. I mean, he really did pack a lot into this book. Here, this is cool, talking about the different types of wrinkles. I mean, if you want a really good book just on wrinkles, Bern Hogarth has one, Drawing Dynamic Wrinkles. And there's other books. I have another book as well. I have that book, and I have another book just on drawing clothing and wrinkles, which is really good. Of course, you have to learn perspective to draw comics. 1, 2, 3-point perspective. All the rules are the same, just how each artist breaks it down and explains it is different. Curvilinear perspective, give it that fisheye look, very cool. Going into textures here, adding things and stuff, adding textures. Tons of different ways to do trees. Eventually you find your own way. This is true, don't. These are just pretty boring. Look, all the mountains are the same size and same shape and everything. Note, mountains variety and vary. Same with rocks and stuff. Rocks, mountains, and other hard texture other hard textures are an exception to the soft organic lines rule. This rock looks like pudding. I mean, I can see what he's saying, but at the same time, it really depends on the type of rock, because some rocks are smooth and they're not jagged. So it really depends on what type you're drawing. Honestly, that doesn't bother me. It's one of the things with the do's and the don'ts. I mean, for cartooning, basic cartooning, you could draw mountains like this. You would just want to give variety in height. But for more detailed comic book type stuff, that is more of what you want to do. So, futuristic. So he's going into different design stuff now, showing perspective in regards to rendering blacks in the foreground, gray tones in the midground, line work in the background really gives a nice sense of depth and perspective. You know, once again, the don't here, yes and no. Because with today's coloring, you could draw this and ink it, and then the colors could easily pull this off and establish the depth. But in black and white, this one does do a much better job. Composition principles, biggest thing, rule of thirds. I covered that as well. A variety of triangles help too when it comes to stuff like that. You know, composing with the rule of thirds and perspective, helpful. You know, balance and stuff. Man, Tom really did go into a bunch of stuff here. I did really forget how much he went into in this book. This is good. This is just showing tangents. Tangents are where things touch, like the back of her head and that doorway. So this one's full of tangents. This one's not. Spot the tangent. Style versus poor drawing. I mean, there is that. There's definitely, you know, things that can be poorly drawn and are just bad, you know. And then there's good drawing, you know. Sometimes people that make mistakes in their drawing will say, no, dude, that's my style. Look, if something's wrong, it's wrong. Okay? It doesn't matter the style. Your own kick-ass comics. Part 4. Reviewing the script. So this is cool. He goes into a script. This was written by somebody else. And he's showing it as an example of what a full script looks like. Full script gives a panel 1, full description, and then the dialogue as well. I doubt he goes into a plot in here, but I could be wrong. And he shows, you know, the different thumbnail stages and such that he goes through, you know, and then starting off with the drawing and such. Talking about composition and whatnot, different stages of drawing, you know, the rough and building up and such. Tightening panel, drawing scales, very cool on how to draw scales. Not as easy as they appear to be. And then he's talking about the different things, you know, maintain continuity, adding contrast and dimension and things like that. You know, that's the nice thing about Tom. Besides being a great inker, he is also skilled at drawing and penciling as well. So you want to learn all that stuff. Final inked comic page. Wow, this is colored as well. Does he go into coloring? Here he's talking about the inking. No, I guess not. It looks like we're getting another full script here. So he's going to break down another page using some superheroes that he created, I assume. Same type of stuff, just talking about the thumbnails, but it's good to see different examples from different pages. Different steps and such going on. Passage of time and storytelling, comic relief, action and reaction. So he does a really nice job here of breaking down storytelling ideas and taking you through the process of rough pencils up to finished pencils and to inks. And here he's talking about the Quill pen, the most used pen that I can think of is the Hunt 102. I'm just skimming through here. It doesn't look like he says what pen he's actually using. He just says how they do come in varieties of sizes and stuff, which is true. And I've tried a bunch of different ones. I usually default back to the 102 pen point. And here he's showing the final page with the coloring and such. And in conclusion, and we see Tom, how he would like to see himself as this giant mechanical muscle type dude. I say giant because, you know, if you ever meet Tom in person, he's only about 5'5". Short little dude, but he's stacked. So, you know, don't mess with the guy. So he has a conclusion, a nice little index, and there you go. And he has written another book as well on drawing, and it's about drawing just women. So maybe next week I'll put off the book I was going to do today, and next week do the book on women. These are some of the other books Impact put out. I don't think they're in business anymore. So like I said, if I can find this and find it for sale, I'll let you guys know. I will post the link in the description below. Sorry about that camera shake. There you have it, guys. Thank you for joining me on this book look. Please go check out Kor-Drath, The Reckoning. It is my current campaign. I'm trying to do my best to get it to $100,000 so we can unlock the 4-page Bud Root Lilith story. Bud Root is known for drawing bodacious, beautiful women. He's doing a Lilith story you guys will really enjoy. The book would be 80 pages of content story at that point. We're doing proofreading this week on it, keeping the campaign open till mid-October. And go back check it out. Link in the description below. Thank you for joining me. I'll catch you next week. Like, subscribe, and share. This has been Andy Smith. Bye-bye, everyone.